Hello everyone, HisRoyalFatness here and welcome back to the channel. Today we are starting a brand new series called Soviet Meds 101. This is a branch off from the How to Play series, but it's dedicated purely to the Tech Tree Soviet medium tank, starting with the T44 and progressing upwards to the Object 140 and T62A. I'll be making a video on each of these vehicles respectively and discussing their play styles a little bit more in depth than a typical How to Play. So I'll discuss, how is the T44 different from a T54? How is a 140 different from the T54? You get the idea. So if a new player is progressing up this tech tree, they know what to expect out of these vehicles. And of course, in true How to Play format, we will be running the 3 consecutive live games as well. So as our base vehicle for this kind of series, let's start with the T44 and discussing its playstyle, because this is a good tank. I'm surprised that so many people do not like this vehicle. I know, I think Meadsy said it was like one of the worst tier 8 vehicles, and I would have to disagree. It has a lot going for it. It is not amazing. That is true, but it is good at everything it does. It has a solid gun, it has a solid armor profile, although not the best, but it's solid. It has solid mobility, and even has solid gun depression at 7 degrees that make this tank very classically Soviet and a very good foundation for you to work your way up the tech tree towards the 140 or 62A. So let's discuss each of these modules in a little bit more detail. The T44 has a pretty interesting gun. It has a 280 alpha damage, classic 100mm tier 8 Soviet style gun that is actually very nice. Now, it has decent dispersion on the move, but it's not like the best, but it's good enough for this vehicle. It has decent alpha damage, of course 280 is very nice, but it completely lacks penetration. It's very bad penetration. I'm going to be straightforward with you. This penetration was brought to the game back in 2015. It needs a buff. I'm going to be straightforward there. And of course, its DPM isn't spectacular at 2000, and because of that, I am running the gun rammer on this vehicle. Now, armor, on the other hand, is a little bit more promising on this vehicle. Now, its hull armor, I'm going to be straightforward with you, is not the best. Do not expect to bounce much from your hull. Only lower tier vehicles or stock tier 8s, and that's if you're angling it correctly. If you angle like this to a tier 8 heavy tank, it's still going to go straight through your upper plate. It doesn't matter. So don't trust in your hull armor too much on this vehicle. However, it has a Soviet turret, and that turret is much better. It is not perfect. It is, of course, still very easily penetrable by the high penetration guns, but you'll find you can get a lot of ricochets off of the angled corners of the turret and, of course, the gun manlet area. So as long as the enemy team does not pit you on either side of your gun manlet or really low down by the turret ring, then they're not going to pen you all the time. It's not a reliable turret, but it's definitely good enough to get those bounces that you need in a medium tank. So that's kind of the armor profile and the gun out of the way. Let's discuss the mobility, because oh boy, this vehicle has a very good mobility factor. In fact, let me go check out its mobility real quickly. Yeah, okay, so it has a 51 km/h top speed going forward, 20 in reverse, has very good traverse speed numbers, and its power to weight is 23. Now, that is a spectacular power to weight ratio, and that's one of the reasons why I love this vehicle so much, is it really accelerates, and sometimes it feels almost like a light tank just how fast this vehicle can cruise around the map. And combine that with 280 alpha damage and a okayish armor profile, and you'll find this vehicle can be really fun when played correctly. So what is the T44's playstyle? Well, as mentioned previously, it lacks a good gun. It lacks good penetration and DPM. So you're definitely not going to be sitting in front of heavy tanks trying to penetrate them frontally. You don't have the penetration for that. You don't have the DPM for that. And heck, 280 alpha damage, which is good for a medium, is not going to deal with the 400 or so alpha damage that most heavies have. So don't be brawling heavies frontally or anything like that. Instead, you have this great mobility. So what you should do is be really flexible in this tank. Go around the map, try and get behind those heavy tanks, or in most cases, you're going to end up running against fellow medium tanks and light vehicles, in which case, if you play it correctly, you can utilize the fact that they have trouble penetrating you if you're hull down and stuff, and you can actually outbrawl a lot of equal tiered medium and light vehicles and really kill them. And that's why I am running the gun rammer on this vehicle, is just to give me that little boost in damage per minute. I don't feel like calibrated shells really provide me with that much assistance when it comes to playing this vehicle, because I'm never going to be sitting in front of heavily armored tanks frontally and just sitting there. I'm always going to be rotating around when I need to, so I like to run rammer. All the other equipment is kind of subjective, and that's kind of your idea of the T44. So some things you're going to want to keep note of is going hull down and using that armor, but of course never sitting still in front of the enemy. Even if you're hull down, always be moving back and forth. Side hugging, I don't know if I'm going to show that today. It depends on whether the gameplay shows it or not. Side hugging is also a feasible option. That's just where you park your tank pretty much next to an enemy vehicle moving back and forth. Makes it really hard for them to pen your turret, as that's all they have to shoot at. And thirdly is just brawling in general. These tanks are great at brawling, pushing in, taking off the tracks of enemy vehicles, and pushing around the map and using that mobility. That's what the Soviet meds are pretty much known for, and why they were so popular in comp at one point of time. So that is kind of the playstyle on the T44 out of the way. Let's jump right on into the live gameplay. So here we are for our first game. We're on Vineyards. This is a pretty decent map for the T44. It depends on what the teams are doing. Now we're going to start off by looking at the enemies lineup. They have a T49, FCM50T, and that's it. Everything else is heavy tanks and TDs. So on the contrary, our team has me in a T44 as well as an LTTB at a T44 Pantera. We're much more lightly armored, and I think what I'm going to do here is I'm going to push aggressively towards the A side of the map. So the enemy team, they have a lot more armor than I would say, you know, our team, and I would like to work down those medium tanks, as they're probably going to be split or pretty isolated. I don't see them sending their whole team to A, so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go pretty aggressively through this ditch, and I'm going to attempt to see what gets spotted up headed towards this side of the map. And as you can see, no one's really spotted up. There's a T29. We're going to put a shot into him, pull back into safety here. Unfortunately, we take a shot from the FCM, but we have good information on what the enemy team is doing already. So they have a heavy tank over here. FCM is already being pretty aggressive in the side of the map, and I'm going to actually start pressuring this FCM 50T. I'm going to wait till he shoots, at least. Hopefully he shoots at our T49, or if I can bait a shot into our hull here. We do get the bait off. We're going to put a nice shot into his vehicle for 306. Going to pop the adrenaline, because this is going to be an adrenaline fight. I'm going to see if he shoots again. He has not shot yet. We're going to keep baiting. He shot there. So I'm just being patient. There's no need for me to lose HP this early on in the game, considering I already took a shot from the T29. I don't want to take excessive damage here. So we're going to pull forward, pick up the kill, hopefully. Oof, he angled in just in time. That was good angling on his part, and hopefully he gets killed. Now LTTB is not going to kill him, so we might take another shot here. We do not, though. We do pick up the kill as well. And yeah, so that was a pretty good early clear, and I was quite aggressive on that tank there, because I saw, you know, he was pretty isolated. His T29 buddy was kind of sitting in town, and of course we can actually start working on these tanks. Now I want to stay safe from the Helsing, but I also want to start pushing on these vehicles here. As you can see, I believe our LTTB got ammo wrecked by the Helsing, so RIP to that man. Not always the funnest situation to be in. And there's a Scorpion in front of us. Gonna load a HE shell, put that into him, and we can just kind of hold here. We're going to be hull down. Now the Scorpion has a much better has really good penetration, so I'm not going to expect to bounce really any shots from the Scorpion already. But what I can do is I can pull back here, and oh no, that's Helsing. We're gonna push on the Helsing and pull forward. Luckily we'll only take one shot there. I forgot for a moment that the Helsing existed, and now we can start working down this T29. Now the T29 gets taken out there. What I can actually do here is go completely haul down against this LTTB, and he's providing me the perfect haul down cover I need to just kind of work down on this Helsing. Now the Helsing might still be able to penetrate a shot into me here, but if I move back and forth enough, I think I'll be able to kind of make his aim unstable enough where I'll easily be able to kind of ricochet any shots. Now we do pick up the kill there, and you can see the Helsing just didn't know where to shoot. Now Scorpion is looking my way. Gonna have to keep an eye out for him. We're gonna load up an HE shell, put that right there for 380. We've done about 3,000 damage here, and as you can see, I've just kind of been working my way around the map. Now, oh, Scorpion's still alive. We're gonna pick up the kill of the Scorpion. I need to stop ignoring these tanks, because one day it's gonna bite me and I'm just gonna get shot. I thought the Tiger was going to pick up the kill. So the enemy team, they just have an IS-5 left. We're going to try and put a shot into him on the move. We might take a shot here, and as you can see, we did get a nice little bounce, I believe, on our gunmanlet there. I'm not exactly 100% sure. Might have been off our side, actually. But we can just push on this IS-5. Now, this isolated IS-5 does not have the mobility to deal with us, but we don't even have the penetration to go through his lower plate, which is really funny. But if we get behind him, we should be fine. We're going to continue putting a fire shot into him, and then continue pulling around this rock, so he will not have the angle on us, and the Pantera should be able to rip our Pantera. We are able to pick up the final kill, and there you go. This was a superb game in the T44, and I think it hit all of the kind of right marks and what you should expect out of this tank. You can ricochet some shots. As you saw, I was able to bait some shots from the FCM50T there. When you go hull down, tanks have trouble penning you. You saw the Helsing was just looking at me. He was really struggling to get those shots off, which is why I was able to pick up that kill. You have a very solid gun. I was able to make the gun work really well in this game, and you have a good amount of mobility. And it also showed what the tank struggled with in terms of penetration. You saw I had to load APCR up to penetrate that T29 through his lower plate, even you know, reliably pen him through his hull when he's driving up. And of course, I couldn't even pen the IS-5's lower plate very reliably, so I had to use that APCR. Now, mind you, I am running gun rammer on this tank, but I think because How I play the T44 in most situations is to kill the other medium tanks or TDs, vehicles that generally speaking don't have a ton of armor themselves. So I'd like to have that DPM advantage, especially since the T44 has such abysmal DPM at just about 2,000. It is not very good damage per minute. So having any extra damage per minute really helps this vehicle out. Now we're going to push aggressively here to shoot the T49. He is bone stock. And as you can see, I was already angling my tank up towards the right in anticipation that they would have tanks over there, and we should be able to put a nice shot into this T49. Now, T49 actually does get a good penetration into us, and unfortunately, our shot missed that there, but hopefully we'll be able to pick up the kill. Now, we don't get a kill there, but we got an idea of what the enemy team is doing. You can see they have a lot of tanks. Oh, our poor LTTB. They have a lot of tanks in town. Now, we're going to try and get a kill shot onto this T49. Unfortunately, it does not hit, and there's the M4 Reveille, so we got an idea of where that M4 is. Now, let's see if we can get a kill shot onto this tank. We finally pick up that kill shot, and you can see we're bouncing quite a few shots off of the turret here, and on a long distance engagement, the turret is pretty bouncy, and that's the nice thing. You have a decently bouncy turret armor profile, but for the most part, you do not have the best armor, so don't rely on your armor too much. Of course, as I always say, utilize armor if you have it, but don't rely on it. I think that's probably the safest thing any player can do. I just wasted my adrenaline for no reason. Oh wait, never mind, there's the ISU. We're gonna put a nice shot into the ISU there. There we go. ISU gets absolutely lit up, and yes, I am sniping for now. I think I can be most useful here. I'm not going to just YOLO in. I think YOLOing here would be a really bad idea. So here's the Ferdinand. We might be able to get a nice side shot on him in a moment. Go load up the APCR maybe. Maybe we'll get that shot in. That shot's not going in. Okay, so the Annihilator. Oh, I was tunnel visioned. I have shots on the Annihilator if he sits open here. And we're just playing a little bit more of a passive, long engagement fight. Now, T44, generally speaking, doesn't have the most accurate gun, so those long engagement fights don't always work out. Now, this M4 is being kind of good spotting up their spawn, so I'm not going to take a fight with the M4. I think what I want to do here instead is try and work down this Ferdinand. Now, you can see the Ferdinand is down to about 1100 HP. I'm going to wait till I get his side. We're going to put a shot into him for 325. The alpha damage is very nice, and of course, he does not have the view range to spot us. Now, the reason I'm being a little bit more aggressive now is because they have double caps. It is Supremacy, and there's one thing you need to make sure in Supremacy is you never lose track of the caps, because once the enemy team have double caps on you and they're going up about 5 ticks every second, right? You can see they're already at almost 700 cap points. You know, our team really needs to move here, and I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to push straight on into A, because killing the Ferdinand would be a good idea, but of course the Annihilator is back there. Actually, you know what? I'm going to kill the Ferdinand. If I'm able to pick up a kill on the Ferdinand, that could be super helpful for the team. Now, here's the AMX M454, and here's the Ferdinand. We're going to put a nice shot into him on the move, and we're just going to continue pushing forward. Now, the Ferdinand doesn't have the best of traverse speed, so we're going to continue pushing forward here. We do pick up the kill, which is exactly what we wanted, and we're going to sit on this cap here for now and start aggressing on this AMX M4, because the AMX M4 is the actual second lowest health target. So I'm going purely for low HP targets here, but I am going to need some team support, or else I'm not going to win this engagement. Now, we get a critical bounce off our upper plate there, but I'm still going to need to start pressuring this M4. So we're going to put a nice shot through his turret for 301, and hopefully our Tiger can start pushing up. This is good. Tiger's pushing up here, and I am going to pressure this Object 252. We're going to pick up the kill. I'm going to sound the cap here. Hopefully we can angle the shot off. We do get a ricochet there, which is essential for us, and hopefully I can pick up the kill on this. Oh, we ricochet the kill, and now I need to get on the cap because we have a temporary cap advantage. We need to make sure we get the caps. Okay, that game was really perfectly played there at the end, because I was able to work that cap there, and you saw it. I was able to get those bounces, and the armor is definitely capable when the enemy team are kind of not aiming carefully. Now, the reason I YOLO'd so aggressive there is I had to. You saw the enemy team had over 850 cap by the time we picked up all of those kills, right? If I had not pushed there that aggressively and killed that Ferdinand, we would have lost a cap almost 100%. So keep an eye on those Supremacy points. It's super important. We did 3,500 damage for an ace tanker. Not a bad result at all. We're going to jump right on into a third game. I think that was a good example as well of T44 just being a solid vehicle. It's not amazing. It's not overpowered for certain. It's not awful. It's just a solid tank, and I love it for that reason. It is very classically Soviet. You saw that last game, how many shots I bounced that game. That was the whole kind of Soviet troll armor profile type of deal, and of course I was able to hit some really nice clutch shots as well, kind of Soviet RNG. I don't know what's up with these Soviet tanks, man, but T44 is a pretty good deal. So I'm gonna go towards the C cap during this game. Now, looking at the enemy's lineup, they have some pretty killer tank destroyers, a Chimera. I'm gonna have to watch out for that, and that's about it for their medium tank. So as long as, you know, their team doesn't come heavily to C, I should be able to hold this side just fine. I'm going to go pretty aggressive onto the C cap myself, as it is just a Chimera on the enemy team, and something tells me, because he's platooning with a heavy tank, he's not going to want to come this way very much. So we're going to see if we get a shot into the Yag Tiger. I mean, come on. That's like just such a classic instance of Russian bias RNG right there. That shot on the Yag Tiger was quite nice, and unfortunately, we have already lost our Defender Mark 1. One of the best medium tanks in the game at tier 8 has already gone down, which really sucks, but you know what? I'm going to go straight into the enemy spawn and we can start working down their team from here, because we're going to start creating a nice little distraction on their team. It's called cross-firing them out. Look at all of these nice juicy heavy tanks. I'm going to focus this VK100 because he is the lowest HP heavy tank here. So the faster we can kind of get his gun out of the game, the better for our team. So we're going to keep cross-firing out these tanks so WZ is not looking, and this is the perfect scenario for a tank like the T44, where having that alpha damage is really nice. You can see we've already done 1,000 damage here. This VK will probably die in just a moment now if our auto aim doesn't screw us. We do get a little bit of a low roll there, but we are in just such a good farming situation. We are 100% hull down. I'm going to start shooting other vehicles soon. Here's that WZ. I tried the shot from the WZ. Unfortunately, it didn't go in. He did hit the shot on us, but I'm just going to continue focusing these heavies, and that's because these heavy tanks are the most dangerous tanks here. Now, I could kill the VK, but I didn't want to overpoke. To get a good shot on the VK, I would have to expose a lot of my hull. I just didn't want to risk that. We're going to push onto this WZ, and you can see he's going straight through, I believe, our turret, or he's hitting me right above my tracks. I might be over peaking just a little bit. We're going to try and put a kill shot into the VK, which we have done, and now I don't want to take any more damage whatsoever. If I take another shot from this WZ, I'll be a one shot, and that would not be very desirable at all. We're gonna try and put a shot into the Yag Tiger though, because he's not looking. And yeah, so we've done a solid job here. We played very aggressively towards the enemy spawn, but you got a little bit of an idea of the armor profile on this vehicle from a different perspective. As you can see, I keep getting penned through the turret over and over here, and now I'm on 366 hit points, so it's time for me to go super defensive mode. There's absolutely no reason for me to get myself killed yet. It is still a very close game, and once again, the enemy team are up with superior cap points. The question is, can I shoot any of these tanks over on the left, like this 110 here? No, the 110 is safe, but maybe I will be able to craft an angle onto this Chimera. And there is the Chimera's rear. We're able to pick up a kill on him, which is really good for our team. And now we can start progressing forward on tanks like this Yag Tiger. So we can see the WZ is running away. That's great for our team. I'm going to push up top here, and our team needs to start being a little bit more aggressive. As you can see, tanks like this Yag Tiger is pretty isolated because the enemy team are really high in cap points. So I'm going to pop the adrenaline here to start farming this Yag Tiger out. Hopefully he pulls back and gives me an easy kill shot here. We do get the kill shot on the Yag Tiger, which is essential, and we're going to progress to pushing onto this Yag Panther as well. So the Yag Panther is actually pushing on us. He gets himself killed, and that should be game over for the most part. We're going to try and push onto the WZ. We get a nice track shot into him. Game over. Another superb game for the T44. This game was more of an example of just playing the T44 hold down. Now, I definitely made some mistakes here. As you saw when I was poking that WZ over and over and over, I kept getting penned right through the front of the turret. So any player that is decent in a tank destroyer, especially with decent penetration, they're going to go through your turret armor very, very easily. However, in that situation, I felt that me sitting there and farming their heavies out was really important for our team. We were already down on kills, we were down on cap at that point, and we were able to really farm their heavy tanks out and kind of make them panic in a way and push out there, which was really good. And then we just kind of flexed around the map, just doing our thing. So there's kind of an idea of how the T44 plays. It is a solid tank. It has decent armor, decent gun, decent mobility. It's decent at everything. It's not great at really anything, but it's not awful at anything at the same time. It has 7 degrees of gun depression, so that's kind of middle of the road. I like this tank a lot. It's one of my favorites. It's a tank I think a lot of people struggle in because, well, they try and play it like a T54 or your very heavily armored kind of Sylvate medium tanks, when contrary to that, it's not really that heavily armored. So you need to play as if your hull's going to get penned about 90% of the time and your turret will get penned about 50% of the time. If you understand that kind of concept of that's how the armor works, then you won't be so surprised when you get penned, and you'll take positioning a lot more flexibly for the vehicle. So T44, great tank. If you're very flexible with this tank, you know how to kind of move around the map, how to utilize the armor when you need to, and especially just kind of use that gun and mobility combo that these tanks have, you're going to do really well in this vehicle. So look out for the T54 Soviet Med 101 coming next. I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. Please feel free to like the video and subscribe if you enjoyed the content. You guys are awesome, and I hope you all have a wonderful day.